that they have to go to work every day through mortgages and student loans and credit cards. Besides those obvious things, but I didn't think there was ever other things working within that. And now that I know there's other things working within that. And
Wirecast.
There's
That didn't work.
a structure in place in Kansas City where there's a class of people that are purposefully kept down so that an area does remain blighted, so that the police can justify buying police regalia. Because the only way drug activity exists is when areas are blighted.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of the drug activity, you get rid of the blight.
Mm-hmm.
And
you
so
improve the school districts and the schools and
exactly.
you know, you tie the success of the neighborhoods to the success of schools. I mean, I'm in favor of saying, hey, you know, if things don't improve in certain neighborhoods, why are we allowing kids to be raised there?
Yeah.
You know, it sounds harsh, but it's kind of like, you know, you wouldn't allow children to play around a nuclear waste dump. Well, why would you allow them to be in an area full of drugs and prostitutes and
right, and this is perfect right here, Section 8 housing.
mm-hmm. It's all clustered in one spot.
Yeah, and it's just become generational.
Well, the secret about this area, and I guess I should try. Are we on 18th? Or not 18th?
10th.
We're on 10th. Okay, I need to turn right here. And this truck is racing up on me. Paying attention. We're coming up on the famous corner of 12th Street and Vine. And it's made famous by a song. But before the song, it was made famous by the neighborhood. This was the entertainment district of Kansas City for people of color, black people. And the city became famous for it. And what's left here now is just a memorial. There's really nothing left because they built some notorious. They tore everything down in the 1950s and built some notorious projects called Wayne Minor.
Yeah, it was the first time ever Kansas City used eminent domain to take all those businesses and residents away from the African American population here. And it's still struggling.
And they did it to clean up the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do we have any viewers? One viewer. All the people that said they were going to show up haven't showed up.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Yeah, you see a lot of kids here.
Yeah, there are a lot of kids in Northeast, it's true.
And you don't see a lot of great things necessarily. I mean, you see the kids are roaming around, and then you'll see like the prostitutes roam. This area is notorious for prostitution.
Yeah.
This area in Prospect.
And apparently crack and meth are still.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Obviously.
Well,
being the gateway to independence, which is the
meth capital of the world.
Yeah.
Well, I talked with police officers once, and you know, I've driven back and forth here on my rounds, my job. I work at Channel 4 as a photographer, and I've seen kids prostituting themselves. I mean, like they look like way under 18.
Yeah.
And
this is a
the maid would be
demonstration
closer
of
to 12,
Wirecast.
and they're already out on the streets, dressed up like, well, and you know, I talked with some police officers once, and they said, "Oh, that area is tremendous. I mean, I tell you what, you know, one time we had to break up a fight between two brothers, and they were fighting over the sister, who gets her first."
Oh.
So,
yeah.
And then there's a lot of great things about this area too. Like you said, it's very diverse.
There's a lot of families that are really
demonstration of
respectable,
Wirecast.
and they're trying to raise their kids right. And there's a lot of families working together to keep businesses going.
Yeah, and struggling because there's a lot of burglaries and things like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately a large amount of payday loans and checks to cash places.
Always a sign that the neighborhood is doing well. There's one right here.
Yeah. It's
next to a car wash.
They just haunt us in Northeast. These payday loans.
And
can't get away
This
from them.
is a demonstration of
They always find a
Wirecast.
niche on every corner somehow.
This one happens to be on the corner right next to a school.
Yeah, right. Look at that. That's disappointing.
Next to a lot of schools. Wow.
The
Next
junior
to
high
some
school.
Duplexes that look like almost like project houses.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Section 8 could be done so much differently.
This is a
If we're really
demonstration
trying to get
of
people to rise above
Wirecast.
their situation.
I don't think that ever was the goal, though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, obviously, as badly run and managed as it is, the goal was, I think, my opinion is the goal was to keep people in their position.
I think you're right. To enslave them even further for generations, where they can't ever get out and figure out how to learn how to take care of themselves.
Well, the thing about it is that politicians really don't have much
This
incentive
is a
to improve it,
demonstration of Wirecast.
because they can create this voting block that they can always rely on to vote a certain way, and all they got to do is go in and say, my opponent is going to cut your benefits.
Yeah,
And they get the vote.
right.
You get them dependent on benefits, and then you threaten to take them away every time.
Right. Definitely. I mean, because for what the states
This
are
is
paying
a
the
demonstration
homeowners
of
to house the
Wirecast.
Section 8, if they would just pay directly to the Section 8, then they wouldn't be enslaved in this structure where they barely can cover their overhead and they never own anything outright.
Yeah, because that's the number one, I guess that is the number one sign that a neighborhood is on the decline, is the percentage of owner-occupied goes down.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because, you know, a landlord is,
This is
if
a
you move into a house that
demonstration
you're
of
renting, you're never
Wirecast.
going to invest as much into it as if you owned it yourself. And the landlords are only going to keep it up enough to whatever standard they need to make sure that the money keeps coming in.
Yeah, and Section 8 takes it to an even lower level of dignity, where the person's not just renting, that they're, like you said, indentured slaves, and I feel like a lot of times the adults in those places don't have a lot of pride, and they're really angry.
This is a
But there's
demonstration
a lot
of
of guilt from that
Wirecast.
too, because, you know, people feel like they're not as good because they have to take what essentially amounts to insurance. You know, we treat it as it was an insurance policy, like you worked hard your whole life and you fell down. Here's a little help to get you back on your feet, a little insurance.
Right.
If we treated it that way, it would probably be much more successful than if we treated it like, here's your handout.
This is a
rock,
demonstration
you know,
of
I'm gonna stand in that
Wirecast.
line over there.
Yeah,
Worthless, you know.
yeah, definitely. See, look, there's another Payday Loans place.
Oh yeah, it did probably like 2 blocks away from, right across from the old government complex here. My dad used to work in here.
Oh, really? I never knew what that was.
Yeah, this is National Weather Service was in there before they built their,
Oh.
and there were a lot of government warehouses. GSA was in there really big.
Huh.
You can always get a nice buy on
This
a,
is a demonstration
at a
of
GSA auction
Wirecast.
on government surplus cars and things. They had auctions in there all the time.
Yeah.
Which
What
is sort of a scam within itself.
Yeah. I am really curious whether Tess Koppelman was ever able to get a copy of the list of houses, though. I don't think she probably was.
Yeah, we're talking about Fox 4 reporter. Yeah,
This is a
Because
demonstration of
that right
Wirecast.
there, I think, could be a super disclosed partially why Northeast is still in the state it's in. I mean,
a
for,
list of, what, dart houses?
Yeah.
Drug houses? I'm sure there's plenty of them.
yeah, but I mean, if we knew exactly which houses those were, and we could establish
What is DART? Drug abatement?
the Drug Abatement Response Team.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been here for 20 years now. So imagine for 20 years, if you're keeping an area that
This is
If
a
you're making it so
demonstration
every
of
time
Wirecast.
you sees one of those houses that no one
And
else
live in it.
gets it, then that creates 3 houses around it.
Yeah, well, an empty house is always an attraction for more of that same problem because the people who